The air is cooling, the leaves are turning, but that doesn't mean the gardening season is over. Some of the most rewarding vegetables are those we grow in the cooler months. Are you ready to grow a successful garden of cold season vegetables? Don't fall into the same traps that many gardeners do. Today, we're going to reveal the 7 deadly sins of planting cold season crops and how you can avoid them to ensure a bountiful harvest. Our first deadly sin? Planting too late. It's tempting to treat spring and autumn the same, but where warmth-loving plants thrive on later planting, cold season crops need time to establish themselves before the real heat of summer arrives. If you wait too long to plant, the heat of summer will cause bolting and bitter flavors. For many crops, this means starting them off under cover, hardening them off as you would summer bedding, only to plant them out whilst the ground is still cold. To avoid this, plant early in the spring or late in summer for fall crops. Timing is everything. Deadly sin number 2. Ignoring soil temperature. It's easy to think that because a cold season crop can withstand frost and snow, that it enjoys cold at all times. The truth is more complex. Cold air is fine, but planting in soil that's too cold will slow down germination. Seeds need warmth to sprout, and cold, wet soil can lead to rot and disease. The temptation is to sow too early when the soil has yet to warm up. Use a soil thermometer and make sure your soil is warm enough for those seeds to sprout. Sin number 3 is overwatering. It's a perennial problem for the gardener, but in the cooler months, when evaporation is less and rainfall often more frequent, the temptation is to assume our plants need more. Too much water can lead to root rot and fungal diseases, especially in cool weather. Remember that the ground is already cold and does not need the added chill of overwatering. Water consistently, but don't overdo it. Water in the morning and allow the soil to drain before the next watering. Deadly sin 4. Planting in poorly prepared soil. Cold season crops need nutrient-rich soil for fast, healthy growth, and because they will sit through the coldest months, they need to be tough from the off. The temptation is to neglect the soil in autumn, thinking that spring is the time for digging and feeding. But that leaves winter crops vulnerable. Prepare your soil by adding plenty of compost or organic matter. Give those plants the nutrients they need from the start. Chapter 5. Not protecting from frosts. Sin number 5 is not protecting your plants from unexpected frosts. While cold season vegetables can handle light frosts, a hard frost can damage young plants. And because the weather is becoming increasingly erratic, it pays to be prepared. Keep an eye on the forecast and be ready to cover your crops with frost blankets or row covers to protect them from a cold snap. A cold frame is ideal for this, but even a simple cloche made from horticultural fleece will do the job. Chapter 6. Crowding plants. Our 6th sin is crowding your plants. When plants don't have enough room, they struggle for nutrients, light, and airflow, leading to poor growth and diseases. This is especially important for leafy greens, which are particularly susceptible to mildew and botrytis if the air cannot circulate. Follow the spacing guidelines for each vegetable and thin seedlings early to avoid this common mistake. It seems harsh to thin out seedlings, but it is an essential process if your crops are to thrive. Chapter 7. Neglecting pest control. And finally, the 7th deadly sin, neglecting pest control. We tend to think of garden pests as a summer problem, but they are just as active in the cooler months, often more so because we are less vigilant. Cool weather pests, like cabbage worms and slugs, can do serious damage if you're not paying attention. Be proactive. Use row covers, handpick pests, or apply organic treatments to keep your crops safe. And check them regularly for any signs of trouble. Outro. See, growing your own cold season vegetables isn't so sinful after all. By avoiding these 7 deadly sins, you can enjoy a healthy, bountiful harvest of cold season vegetables. Take care of your crops, and they'll take care of you. There is nothing quite like the taste of fresh, homegrown vegetables, especially when harvested from your own winter garden. So get out there, get planting, and enjoy the fruits of your labor.